Hey, everybody, welcome to PHYST. Pastor, have you seen this? We just realized only late in the game that our name for this little pastor reaction thing we got going, uh, you sound it out and it's PHYST, which is a bit of an aggressive name for something where we're just having a friendly dialogue. But there it is. Pastor, have you seen this? And so we are just reacting to stuff you send us. And so maybe you have something you want to send in, and the pastors of AC3, of which I am one, would love to react to it. You can send it right here to social@ac3.org, and we'd be happy to comment on it. There'll be stuff that from our worldview take, from a Christian perspective, maybe it'll just give you some insight or help in figuring out how Christianity interacts with the world that we're finding online. So without further ado, let's have Rick respond to this video on cancel culture.
So quick to anger, quick to judge, we're quick to condemn, and we're slow to understand. We're quick to get offended by someone having a different opinion than we do. The number one way that the enemy has a hold on society, this country, everybody, is through offense. If you are easily offended, you are doomed. The weakest link. If you're a part of the GGB gang, we don't do that sensitive stuff around here. You cannot be getting offended by everything. It's not good for you. It's not good for society. Just be like, you know what? Not everyone thinks like I do, and it's not the end of the world. It's okay. God gave them free will. Who am I to take their free will away from them? We are so quick to anger, quick to judge, we're quick to condemn, and we're
Yeah, well, I like this video. I guess I like the general lesson in it that first of all, she's quoting James. We should be quick to listen, slow to anger, slow to speak. That's a massive biblical injunction and unbelievably relevant in our divisive times. And so I especially like it coming out of a young person who I think that there's been some, I guess, disproportionate, but I think it goes across generationally, but I think disproportionately her generation has been trained in a way of thinking about divisive speech as if the speech itself is always the problem, instead of the interacting and the ways we respond to speech as being the problem. And so this, I guess, gets to the global issue, what do we want to call it? The cultural reckoning. I love how we put it like that. The cultural reckoning that we're doing on speech. We had a cultural reckoning on race in 2020. I think we're having a cultural reckoning on speech. I really do. And so there's a unique Christian, I think, take on that, which she has articulated, which is that the Christian should be slow to speak and slow to anger. And I think a part of that is involved in the virtue of patience, which is a fruit of the Holy Spirit that should be developing in us, where we can patiently listen to someone with an opposing viewpoint and not have that touch our ego so quickly that we have to rush to defense or rush into an emotional safe space where we can't hear it because it upsets our worldview. I mean, sociologists have had a name for this for a really long time. It's called cognitive dissonance. And that's when you have a worldview, you have a set bunch of values and presuppositions about the world that you believe are true, and then another view comes in to undermine some of your valued presuppositions. And when that happens, it's destabilizing. And so they call that cognitive dissonance. So what do you do with that? I think that if we're going to be people of the truth, people who follow the guy who says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, that we have to embrace the truth. The guy who said the truth will set you free clearly is not an enemy of reality, of factual things, of true things. So the idea that someone has ideas that are opposed to my Christian worldview should not immediately upset me. I should, understand that some things that purport to be true are not always true on examination, or a suite of facts are not the same thing as a conclusion you draw from facts. So sometimes we're like super defensive, like she says, about facts, or about someone's subjective conclusions that they make about facts. Instead, we should be accommodating of speech. I really think we should, because Jordan Peterson, I think, said this. He says to have speech be free is in some sense saying this is our license to think. You can't actually think critically unless you're free to say what you believe is true. And if you're immediately, as soon as you say something, accosted and canceled, as she says, you start realizing that, oh, it's not safe for me to say what I think is true. And then you go into one of two modes. You either go into like conformity mode, where it's like, oh, I got to conform to the orthodoxy of what everybody else believes around me, and I cannot question this, and I cannot push back on it or question its premises. That's bad. That's evil. That puts me in a bad box. Or you go underground with this, and then you begin to vilify the other side instead of being able to find where the commonality is and probably into a greater agreement on what the truth is in the light of dialogue. And you don't get that dialogue where you're canceled. You don't get that dialogue where you're shunned for saying what you think is true. So the solution, they say, to bad speech is more speech, not less speech, and I agree with that. And that I know is a cultural conversation that's happening above and beyond the church, but I think from inside the church, I think she has brought the right biblical principle to mind, which is one of patience, slow to speech, quick to hear, and this gets to biblical principles of conflict resolution, which just, if we applied them globally and culturally, we wouldn't have the cancel culture problem that we have, because we would be peacemakers. And Jesus called us to be peacemakers. And the way you make peace is you have to listen. You have to listen to your opponent. Even if they're wrong, the only way to get to some agreement on truth is to bridge from their starting points into what can be, a future shared reality, a future shared way of looking at the situation that's closer to the truth. So, yeah, I really like this. I think it's great. Oh, and that's where she got, you're not GGB. I get it now. They have a little thing called Girls Gone Bible. So that's what she was referring to in the video. So yeah, I like Girls Gone Bible. Way to go. And I think they have a great message on how we interact in a cancel culture world. So thank you for sending in this video. And if you have a video that you'd like us to respond to, please send it to social@ac3.org, and we'd be happy to respond to it here on PHYST. Pastor, have you seen this? See you next time.